Hello there everyone, Matt here with thevirtualinstructor.com, and in this video I'd like to share with you a time lapse that was taken from 8 recorded live lessons which were broadcast live to members at thevirtualinstructor.com. Now in this 8-part lesson series we took a look at creating a realistic graphite portrait. In this case we did a portrait of one of my daughters. Now this complete lesson series is available to members at thevirtualinstructor.com in real time and uncut, as well as the rest of our video courses, weekly critiques as part of the Members Minute, a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers, and all of our recorded live lessons which date back all the way to 2012. If you want to learn more about our program, I'll leave a link in the description below. You can check out our program for free for a week if you want. I do offer a week-long trial. There's also a link in the description below this video where you can check out 3 of our course videos and ebooks for free. Now with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the time lapse. Now for this drawing, I decided to use the grid technique. Of course, the grid technique is a method that you can use to ensure accuracy in your drawing. It's actually a very old process that has been used by artists throughout the years. Now in this case, we created a grid over the photo reference pictured on the left, and then we created a proportional grid on slightly larger drawing paper on the right. And then of course, we can match up the contour line information that we see in each one of the squares on our gridded photo reference and put it in the same location in the corresponding square on the drawing paper. Now in this case the paper that I worked on was Canson Heritage Hot Press watercolor paper, which is a very soft 100% cotton paper, so it allowed us to create very smooth and even transitions of value using the graphite. As you can see here, I started off using Derwent graphite pencils, you know, the traditional wooden pencils, but during the process I'm going to switch over to using a lead holder about halfway through the process actually. And I did that just to speed up the process a little bit. Using the wooden pencils, you do have to sharpen frequently. Now of course, once we had the contour lines in place, of course I used an H pencil to draw those contour lines. It was time to start developing the value. Value is the darkness or lightness of a color, and how we position the values in the drawing leads to the illusion of texture, the illusion of light, the illusion of form. Value influences so much in the drawing. Of course, value is perhaps, well, I'm not going to say perhaps, value is the most important element of art. Now in this case, I started in the upper left-hand corner, and then I'm going to progressively work my way down to the bottom and the right, and you'll see this happen as we go through the process. I'm doing this because I am right-handed, and I want to keep the palm of my hand out of the way of the graphite so it doesn't smear. But speaking of smearing, or I should say smudging, you can see I'm also using blending stomps and blending tools to work the material into the tooth or texture of the paper, creating more of a smoother appearance. Of course, we're dealing with skin up here. Now I'm also using a very precise eraser. This is a mono eraser by Tombow. Now this eraser is a very small eraser. It's a plastic or vinyl eraser, in basically an eraser holder is actually what we should call it, but it allows you to erase out in very precise locations, almost like a pencil. It's not quite as sharp as a pencil, but you can see I'm using it to make some pretty precise erasures. Now for the skin, of course, the skin is a little bit more complicated than it may look on the surface. We went through lots of different layers of different grades of graphite, starting with the lightest and hardest grades of graphite and progressively getting softer with our applications, but also using the eraser to remove some of the graphite as well. So it's a back and forth between adding the material and removing the material from the surface. Now for the hair, of course, it's just a matter of paying attention to the shapes of dark and light value. You can see we started with basically lighter values and then progressively filled in the darker shapes in between here. This is clearly a patient process. Of course, this is sped up. It took us a lot longer than this to complete the drawing. This entire series was 8 lessons long, so that's at least 8 hours, but outside of the live classes, I worked for probably 3 or 4 additional hours. So I don't want you to watch this and think that this was a very quick drawing. Creating realistic drawings does take time, and it is a slow process that requires patience as well. Now, as you can see, we've moved on to the eyebrows now, and in this case, I used a very soft graphite pencil with a very sharp tip and made very precise marks when I did apply each one of those lines for the hair, of course, and then erased out a little bit and then went back and added a little bit of a darker tone behind around it so the contrast wasn't so strong. Then of course we just continued working our way down the surface here. And of course, the next big thing to address, of course, were the eyes. And I want you to notice how these eyes develop here. We started with very loose applications, used the blending stump to basically work that in to the tooth of the paper, and then refined from there, again, using the eraser here and there to erase out highlights and make different portions of the eye a little bit lighter. A lot of times people think that there are these really strong hard edges inside of the eyes, and there really isn't. There's really a lot of times just a smooth transition of value, especially depending on the angle that you're looking at the eye from. In this particular case, there were definitely some smooth transitions in there. Now we can contrast this as we address the eyelashes, and this is a case where we really see some strong lines, of course. When you do draw eyelashes, you do have to be fairly strong and confident with your mark making. You really only have one mark to make there. Of course, you have lots of those eyelashes to add, but each mark needs to be pretty strong and deliberate, and it needs to be delivered with some confidence. Here we can kind of see a repeat for our second eye, and you can see here again, started with more looser marks, but this eye had a little bit more refinement in it, of course, a little bit more of a distinct edge around some of the shapes. Then from there, we just continued working down. The middle part of the face over the bridge of the nose was basically just a repetition of what we did on the forehead. Of course, those little freckles make a big difference as well. And in the nose, you can see how we start with those line applications using an H pencil just to get the positioning of the values in place. And then we can progressively get darker with the applications as we build up more and more confidence with where those darker values are going to be located. You'll also notice here that you don't have to be too reliant on a blending stump or any other blending tool. You can really put or adjust the amount of pressure that you place on the pencil to build up a fairly smooth transition between tones and values. Of course, this depends on the surface that you're working on as well. We didn't completely abandon the blending stump, of course, but as I worked through the drawing, I used it less and less, but of course I still used it as we just saw on the nose there. This particular paper made a pretty natural smooth transition between values, but the addition of that blending stump really made super smooth transitions. And of course, after addressing the eye and the bit of hair that was left over there, we moved our way down to the lips here, and the lips are pretty straightforward. Just keep in mind that most of the time the light source is going to be originating above your subject, and this is going to make the upper lip generally darker in value and the bottom lip generally lighter in value. And then we'll typically see a little bit of a darker value underneath the bottom lip where there's a little bit of shadow underneath there. Now you can see there that we made the top lip a little bit darker and then went back over the top of it with a softer graphite to make it even darker. But as we worked on the bottom lips, basically planned out where we were going to have those little wrinkles, made sure that those had lighter areas of value or lighter bits of value, and then those darker bits of value in between. And of course, that helped to create a more realistic look there to our lips. And then, of course, we worked our way down to the bottom of the chin. Again, this was another section that was fairly straightforward, just smooth transitions of tone and value. In this particular case, the bottom portion of the chin had a stronger shadow and a slight bit of a highlight down there where light was actually reflecting back up off of her shirt. She was wearing a white shirt in this scene, and that created a little bit of a light highlight around the bottom edge of the chin. And including that little bit of a highlight, that little bit of a reflected highlight there made a big difference. It helped to separate the bottom of the chin from the shadow on the neck, and also helped to make the image a little bit more believable. It's little things like this that I feel like beginning and intermediate artists kind of miss. They don't pay attention to those real subtle areas of shadow or highlight, and they make a big difference in the success of your drawing. And then as you can see here, the process, again, as I mentioned before, was just the same as the upper part of the face. We started with lighter applications using lighter pencils, harder graphite, of course, and then worked our way to softer graphite pencils, progressively making the values a little bit darker where we needed them to be a little bit darker. It's always easier to make values darker with a graphite pencil. It's a little bit harder to make them lighter, though, if you go too dark too quickly. And then, of course, after finishing up the chin and the last bits of the background, our realistic pencil drawing, portrait drawing of one of my daughters was complete. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were able to pick up a couple of things here and there. If you're new to the channel here on YouTube, I suggest that you subscribe. We cover a broad variety of drawing and painting subject and media on this channel. And if you want to check out 3 of our course videos and ebooks for free, you can do so. I'll leave a link in the description below this video. And if you want to check out our comprehensive membership program, which includes a variety of drawing and painting courses on a variety of media and subjects, there's a link in the description below this video. It also includes weekly critiques as part of the Members Minute, weekly live lessons, and a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers. As always, thanks again for watching, and I wish you all the very best in your artistic success.